Hi and welcome. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and this is my weekly update number 18. Today is May 27th, 2022. This is where I talk about everything I completed during the week with a previous quilt finish along the way, like the one behind me. So this week I released part 7 of my completed quilts trunk show, and I'll be releasing part 8 this week. Also this week I have my cotton cuts gnomes. So hopefully I'm going to try and start sewing those together and posting videos. And here I'll show you a quick peek. These are the May gnomes. Now also, at the time of this recording, I currently have 487 subscribers. So I'm getting even closer to that 500 subscriber giveaway. Now, when I do that giveaway, it's going to be open internationally. And what I plan on giving away is a Fat Quarter Shop gift card. So hopefully very soon we'll be giving that away. And you'll just have to watch my weekly updates for when that happens. Okay. So let's talk about the quilt behind me. Now this quilt was made from a tutorial called the 3 Deuce quilts from Man Sewing and Missouri Star. So we'll take a closer look at the quilting. So here's a closer look at that quilting. And it looks like I quilted it with that paisley pantograph. Right in there, you can see those paisleys going. All right, let's take a look at the back. And there's a look at the back. I got a thread there. There we go. And of course, there's my label, and it looks like I finished this one just last year. So what did I quilt this week? I quilted my January Cotton Cuts Gnomes. We'll take a closer look at it. The quilting, I quilted it with a snowflake pantograph all over. All right, so there's the top of the quilt. And we're coming down. And that's what the quilting looks like. All right, take a look at the back. Now, I just used some white backing on the back. There's a look at those snowflakes on the back. So that's what I quilted this week. Now, I finished 3 quilt tops this week. This is the first one. This is what I'm calling my panda quilt. But it was this Jello salad quilt pattern that I used. And see if I can get a better picture of the top. There's more pandas up there at the top. So that's the first one I quilted. Now in the last week of the update, I also asked, since I was pretty sure I was going to get done with this week, what I should do next. I had a dinosaur quilt and I had an ocean theme. Everybody said the oceans theme, so I did cut that out, and I'll show you that progress when I get to my piecing. And this is the second quilt top I finished this week. Now this quilt top was the leaves quilt pattern from a sew sampler box. And the third quilt top I finished this week. And this is the third quilt top I finished this week. And this quilt was from the Lazy Day pattern. Now this pattern came from Polar Fabrics, where they had these 5 1-yard bundles that you could buy, and you got a free pattern with those. So this is where that pattern came from. So those are all the quilt tops I finished this week. I didn't get any binding done, but I hope to get binding done this week. That's my #1 goal, is get some binding done on some quilts. But it's no wonder I have so many quilt tops. I quilt 1 quilt and finish 3 more. So if you haven't seen those 200+ quilt top series, this is why I have so many quilt tops. So last week, when I knew I was almost done with that panda quilt, I had asked a question, which one to cut out next? The dinosaur quilt or the ocean theme? Everybody said the ocean theme quilt. Nobody voted for dinosaurs, but that's okay. So I cut it out, and this is the pattern, Wellington. Of course, not those fabrics. But started to pin some strip sets together. And I've got a bunch of 10-inch squares all cut out. Some borders and sashings, I think. And some grunge fabric all cut out. So I did start cutting that out. And I'll be showing that as I make some progress on it. Another thing I worked on was another sew sampler project. I'm trying to whittle down some of those sew sampler boxes that I have stacked up there. You know, the theme is for me about 2 years behind on everything. 2 years behind on my creative notions, 2 years behind on my sew samplers. You know, we'll get there. I just have so many projects I want to do. So, I worked some more on this Unraveled Quote. So I now have all of these pinned together in rows. All of my pins. They're all pinned together. That's the second row. Third row. And the fourth row. And again, this is just something that I do, but I always put the number of pins at the beginning of the row. That's the number of row. Like this is row number 4, so I got 4 pins. And then I'll take them out once I start sewing those together. Okay, so next thing I worked on was, after I finished that quilt top, I got another of the 5-yard bundles out, and this is an Americana theme. But this pattern is going to be boxed in. And again, these are the 5 1-yard bundles of fabric that I got from Polar Fabrics. But I've got these pinned together to take to the sewing machine and sew. So I have a bunch of those. And some other strips and squares. And some more strip sets there. with those fabrics. And border fabric. So I cut all that out, pin that together. Now I haven't started cutting this out yet, but that's one of the things I plan on doing this week, is start cutting out this quilt pattern from a sew sampler box. Because I finished that leaves, I'm on to my next sew sampler, because I just do them in order. And this one is from July 2021. So we'll be working on doing this pattern as well. Now, as far as quilting and piecing goes, I did do a few more things. Let me get those boxes. Now, I worked on the sew sampler pressed flower blocks. I did the first 2 blocks. So here's the first block, the delphinium. And the hyacinth. So I got those 2 done. Now, with that being said, Fat Quarter Shop, I did buy the kit, and Fat Quarter Shop did make a mistake, saying that they did not calculate the yardage right. So they owe me more yardage. Now, I was lucky enough to get the kit. I know the kit is now completely sold out. And I got it the day it went up, and it was like sold out the next day. Now, they said they're going to send me the rest of the yardage once that comes in. So normally, since I get the kit, I have the finishing instructions. So I go ahead and start doing the finishing as much as I can. However, I decided to hold off on that just to make sure I had enough fabric. And if for some reason we don't get that fabric, then I'll have to use another fabric. So I decided to hold off on that. But I did get the 2 blocks done. And one last thing, I worked on, I'm dropping things. I worked on the Lori Holt Vintage Christmas. I did 2 more blocks in this. Let's see. I did the toy drum block and the taffy block. So, this is the toy drum block. And the taffy block. So I have 9 more blocks to go in that, and then I can put them all together. And I've got quite a lot of blocks. Okay, so that's everything as far as I did of sewing, quilting, and piecing. Let me show you my progress on my cross stitch next. Now, I am working on this Christmas Big Band Sampler. I was working somewhere in the train last week. I now finished the train. And now this is done on 16 count Aida. Alright, there we go. There's the top. Working it on down. So I was working in here last week, and now I'm down to do these trees. Now this, as I say every week, is a very large piece. It's going to take me a while. However, I'm getting close to getting halfway through. Not quite there yet, but it's getting close. So this is going to be worked on 2 pieces. So once I get halfway through, I'm going to start on the other one. So that's my cross stitch progress. And I should be getting my Stitch Quarterly here sometime in June. I think when I get that, I might take a break and stitch the Stitch Quarterly and then go back to this. Now, crochet. I'm still working on this crochet sweater here. Show you a picture. So I'm working on this orange marmalade shell. And I am using this alpaca yarn from Hobby Lobby I got a while ago, which is 100% baby alpaca. And it's a number 2. Now, I had already showed you where I'd finished the back panel. I'd finished the front panel now. And I sewed the front and back panel together. But it's looking pretty wide. So, I've sewn this front and back panel together. I still have to do some side seams here on the sleeves. And then I've got to do ribbing on the bottom. There's my neck hole. But we're getting there. Seams not quite long enough. However, this does have a pretty big give. So I don't know. We'll see. May not work out. May work out. We'll see the finished product when it's all done. Okay. Now, I didn't do any diamond painting this week, so I don't have any progress to show you there. So that's everything I've worked on this week. Till next time. Bye.